So how long did it take you to convince them and get this started?
Well, I think in a month I've done everything, but I've done it through administration and through like every other society normally, and I made sure I made it, properly on the academic way, because you have to write a descriptive, a brief about what's going to happen, who is coming, and all of this. So I tried my best to do it as clear and as as good as possible, and it went all through. And
so when the events happened, did they bring anybody to observe what exactly you're doing, what you said is happening there? Did they control it? Did they limit it, what you have to say?
Not at all.
They didn't.
Not at all. So. But I had someone from the office who came, but he wanted to attend it. And at the meantime, at the office, and asked to have someone or to come or to have a personal phone number. So in case if I have trouble, I can call someone who can come and help me, because I have all the approval and everything, in case if someone comes to make any trouble. But then, this person was here from the beginning to the end, and everything was going well until with security, another trouble at the entrance to let people in. We agreed that they should let people in because they wanted to guest list, because we can stick on the form if it's only for students or it's a public event. So I take it as a public event, and then they wanted me to have a guest list. And if it's a public event and I publicly promote it, I can't have a guest list. It's going to be too hard to have a guest list. So I discussed that at the office and say, okay, well, what we're going to do with the security, we're going to make sure they let your guests come in, and someone has to collect them. So it was okay until the day I went. The day that the event was planned, I went to the security to remind them, and then obviously it went a bit weird, and they were like, "Oh, I remember a call, but..." And then the other one came into the discussion, said, "I don't know, you need to have your guest list," and like I was confused, and irritated. I was like, "This is my event. I can't give you in 3 hours a guest list of 100 people that I expect to come." And so I had to go back to the office, and they have to call them, and then I want you to send emails, and I want to get a copy of these emails to make sure I can have a proof. And then they said okay. So someone from the office, so this person who came, I said just before, and attend the whole event, has to come and collect the guest each time. So at the beginning it was okay, and after the meeting start, they changed the shift. So it was another person at the security desk, and I had some feedbacks from friends who couldn't enter.
Really?
They didn't let them enter.
So, well, I managed to enter, so I was no problem with me then.
Yeah, you were on the guest list, but also the person who was at the time, the security person who was at the desk at the time you came in, he was not making trouble, but the second one make trouble. And I also left my phone number at the security desk, and I said, if someone comes and is not on the list, or I don't know if there is any trouble, you just give them this paper and said, call the organizer and he will come. But they haven't done it.
What is the population of Muslim in that university?
I think it's quite big.
It's quite big.
Yeah, it's very diverse.
Did they attend? Because sometimes the parents really stop their children. They just say, focus on your studying and come out. This is another problem we're facing, you see. Parents are only education for the kids. They're not interested. There are other duties the Muslim have. Did you face, any of these troubles?
When I look at the event, it was quite diverse. It was really diverse, and we had a lot of Muslims. It's true. But yesterday, a girl that I invited to come to this event, who is Muslim and in my class, she came to me and she told me, I'm sorry I couldn't attend it, my mom didn't let me. But she didn't tell me for which reason, if it's too late or because it's about Palestine. She just told me my mom didn't let me come, I'm sorry.
Well, now you come over here to this matter. Don't you think the lack of help and motivation and sort of, what you call it, there's another words for it. Because the Muslims are not paying attention to who they are and what they are on the earth for. Well, if they would feel that Palestinian issues is our issues, they would never have that attitude towards it. The mom, stopped. I know many cases. I know a boy who start practicing Islam, then sort of, you know, helping Iraqis and Afghanis and Palestinians, the parents literally kicked the boy out at the age of 17. We had to place him. These are the sort of, you know, scenario we face over here.
It is all about integration and disintegration. And that's the problem when those Arabic or Muslim families, they lose their identity in this country. They don't know who they are. They integrate in the wrong way. Integration means, okay, to be part of the society, but not to forget all your values and the things you stand for. And sadly, many of the Muslims here, they forgot about their causes, they forgot about what is happening there in Palestine and elsewhere in the Muslim world, especially those generations, let's say, who are born here. Maybe the generation that have migrated in the 90s and the 80s is still like adhering to the issues worldwide regarding the Muslim world. But the newer generation, and here is the risky point, they are really not adhering and not very like sticking to the issues. And I know really, like, not only Muslims, I know many Palestinian families who their children are not engaged in the Palestinian cause. And we have tried to make some kind of a project to integrate and bring in people like your age, like Yasin's age, to be to prepare them as a spokespersons for the Palestinian cause in this country. You know how many people we found from those Palestinians? Less than two people that were interested in this. They don't want to speak about politics.
But this is not politics. You see, the Quds was the first Qibla.
But they take it from the political side. Palestine, okay, it's a religious, but it's in the same time a very political issue. In many universities, the students, they don't want headache, okay? And the families, as you said, they want them to stick to their study. And in the same times, they don't like raise awareness, they don't tell them what is happening. Maybe some families are doing this, but sadly there are big numbers who really don't care. And I'm sadly said, like, there are some Palestinians who I faced. Maybe I came from Gaza, okay? I still stick to my identity and I would never leave it. So and I would make sure my children will follow the same track and the same direction, because it's their land and it's forever their land.
Yeah, how important is, you know, we're coming to the short break, but briefly I want to know, do you really think, you know, this issue of Palestinian are politics?
Well, it's politics. It's politics.
In which way is politics? It's your life.
I understand.
It first was the Qibla of the Muslimin, then it changed.
I said it's a religious and that's a political issue joined together. You could not, because some people, okay, some secular people, they would say, oh, no, it's not a religious, okay, it's a political. And the other side, oh, no, it's not a political, it's religious. So it depends on the people you approach, and it depends on the people you speak with. Maybe you consider it religious, some people will consider it political, some people will consider it as a demographic problem with the Jews. Depends on how the people approach it. But for me, I consider it as a political and religious conflict between us and Israelis over there.
Thank you very much. We're coming to the break. Is it political, is it religious, or is it both? We can't hear your view, but we will tell you our view. Stay with us, tune in. We will be back within a minute. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay. Coming back to the second part of Muslim family in Europe with me, Miss Bahaji and Yasin and Sami Habib, a journalist from Gaza. Okay, the issue was, is it political or is it religious? I'm just going to ask, you know, Sami, why do you think it's political?
Well, as I explained earlier, depends on the people you approach. Some consider it political.
No, forget about what the people think. What is the true fact about the matter? This is my view. This is the life of the Muslims. You know, Salahuddin Ayyubi came and sort of, you know, changed the whole situation and saved it. He didn't, for me always was the question, he didn't think or sit in another town or another country and then sort of sending the message, oh, we defend you or this. He just literally got together an army and saved the land, because truly he believed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first put the way of worship towards Al-Quds. Then Allah's wishes changed it to Kaaba. But originally our place was Kaaba from Adam alayhi salam and Ibrahim. But then went to Quds, then went back. This is Allah's wishes and we are a slave, we obey. But now this is always part of the Muslim issues in their life. They cannot divide this. For me, this is the life of the Muslim. They should, part of their life is to defend and protect that.
Okay.
So why is it should be, religious or political? We can't really bring this issue in.
Maybe let's say like taking it this way, from the media and the politics perspective, it's politics.
Oh, I see.
But factually, taking it from the historical side, you would find it religious. Palestine issue has been not only for the last 60 years, as you said earlier, from the Salah ad-Din time when the Crusaders came. Okay.
Even before that, it's always been attacked.
I've watched a really nice program on the CNN for Christian Anapur, and it's really worth watching. It was about Palestine, how the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians perceive Palestine, and all like they believe in the Mahdi, all of them. Okay. And the battle Armageddon that would happen in Palestine, and each part would win. The same three religions have the same perspective in Palestine. Okay, so it's
many prophet comes from that land.
Yeah, and
So
specifically Jerusalem. Jerusalem has the most attracting factor in that conflict. Okay, Jerusalem is like, okay, when you speak to the Christians, even in the royal wedding here, in the hymns that they were singing, they were saying Jerusalem. Okay, it's really like very important, I feel, for those three parts, and that's the thing that is going religious for us as Muslims. Yes, it's our first and last and very religious issue. It's the place that we have really prayed for before the other Haramain in Saudi Arabia. It's the first place was Jerusalem that to pray before it moved there, and it has very religious, like let's say affectionate for the people who really like committed.
Right. So, but for you, your view is political and religious.
Maybe because I'm a journalist, okay, read lots of news and I'm more directed to my job, okay, because reading politics, seeing what the Israelis are doing, creating facts on the grounds, making these settlements, stealing the lands, kicking the Palestinians, making these checkpoints, making these manipulations in the negotiations, not negotiations, America. All it's about politics. To see how the Israelis are functioning in Palestine, you will take it from a political point of view. But
Right.
that's because maybe I'm affected, and this is my own view. So
So
I
it's
just give it
the
for
nature
me.
of your life going that way. What your views on that?
Actually, I agree with Sami a lot on it. I do agree on that.
So you think the issue is political? Why is it political? Because they're interested in it.
I don't want to say I believe it's only political. I joined between two things.
That's what I was to say.
I don't want to
Both
go
of
just
them.
very politics, but I say both of these things joined it together, and depends on how the people, as I told you, look at it. If it's a secular, he will say, oh, it's totally political, and if he's a religious, will say totally religious. But as like let's moderate people who join between the Islam and our life, you could say it's political religious, and sometimes they say it's a political Islam issue. If you heard of the political Islam, those movements, political movements, because in Islam we have politics as well. It's not only those Westerns who have
but
we have
but not
politics.
mischievous politics. We have got a real policy. We have our political issue is real. It's really helping the mankind. It's not sort of being devious within that we have got the present time. Look, Yasin,